It wasn't a fear of getting it right or wrong. I had nerves because I cared so deeply about the women and the people that go through this every day. And I wanted to make sure I did their story justice. I wanted it to be truthful. And that's what drives all of this. And so at the end of the day, it was because I cared. Um,
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Last week was rough for both Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Even though Ryan isn't officially part of the lawsuit anymore, his name still appeared on the subpoena I received from Google. That surprised me. It really feels like the two of them are working together behind the scenes, even if Ryan's role isn't publicly visible. From how things look, Ryan might be letting Blake take all the criticism while he avoids the spotlight. Honestly, if your partner lets you take the fall like that, it raises serious questions about their intentions. Blake Lively decided to take legal action against people on the internet, specifically creators and reporters who were talking about the case. Her aggressive move didn't go unnoticed. In fact, it caused a massive wave of negative attention. Even major news outlets couldn't stay quiet, because what she was doing seemed like a direct challenge to freedom of speech and freedom of the press, two very important rights that people have been defending for years. Independent journalists and online commentators who were simply sharing updates or giving their opinions were suddenly being dragged into court. That's what made people start speaking out. I believe the judge saw this for what it was, an overstep. And the legal system doesn't usually allow this kind of behavior. On top of that, there were complaints about Blake's attorney, Ezra Hudson, with threats that she could be reported for unethical conduct. There were also talks of penalties against Blake and requests for the court to stop her from sending out any more subpoenas without official approval. It was the creators, the ones she targeted, who stood up first. They went to court and explained why this wasn't right. And after all that pressure, Blake started taking some of the subpoenas back. On Thursday, I mentioned that I was planning to file a motion alongside Shasti and Janessa, saying we weren't part of the case and shouldn't be included. Then, suddenly on Friday, Blake started backing off. She canceled the ones against Shasti, Janessa, Lauren from Court of Random Opinion, Ken's, and Ashley. She sent a letter to the court trying to explain her actions. But it just didn't make sense. Oddly, she didn't withdraw the one against me right away. My lawyer had to contact her team in an emergency over the weekend. Only after that did they cancel mine, but not because they admitted it was wrong. It seems like they're only doing this to save face and avoid punishment. In the letter she sent the court, she claimed these subpoenas were no longer needed based on public information and statements. But it's clear that her original goal was to intimidate and dig for private details. Her legal team argued that Wayfair and others were secretly trying to ruin her image through hidden online attacks. But everyone who spoke publicly did so using their real identities. There was no secret campaign. The idea of untraceable sources doesn't even make sense here. What's really happening is that Blake is trying to act like the victim while using the legal system to silence people who disagree with her. Blake Lively is not targeting people who are hiding their identity. Every individual she tried to subpoena is a known person who speaks openly and uses their real name or public platform. These aren't hidden accounts or secret figures, they're visible public creators. The reason so many call Blake the aggressor is because her actions reflect that. It's not just opinion. It's based on what she's done. Wayfair's legal team recently responded to Blake's claim about a mysterious online attack against her. She claimed there was a secret organized smear campaign that couldn't be tracked. But anyone who understands the internet knows that nothing online is truly invisible. Everything leaves a digital trace. The PR team ever promised to launch an untraceable campaign, they'd be misleading their clients. Simply not possible in the digital world we live in. Blake insists she knows exactly who is responsible, which is why she went after real, identifiable people. Her lawyers submitted subpoenas as part of the discovery process, hoping to prove that Wayfair worked with certain creators to harm her reputation. The problem is, most of the people targeted by these legal demands weren't even involved in the case. Many of them filed legal motions asking the court to dismiss these requests. Eventually, Blake's legal team began withdrawing some of the subpoenas, but not all. They told platforms like Google and X, formerly Twitter, that they no longer needed information from a few specific individuals. However, they did not fully back away from the rest. One person named Cassidy couldn't even be reached properly because she used a different name and didn't give any contact info, while several people stood up to challenge these subpoenas. Blake's team argued that these individuals didn't have the legal right to speak for others. According to them, each person could only defend their own rights, not those of others. Mentioned in the subpoenas, what's more troubling is that Blake never directly discussed anything with Lauren, one of the creators involved. Instead, she used public statements to justify dropping the subpoena against her. But this doesn't mean she won't try again. There's been no promise from Blake's side that they won't file future subpoenas individually. As for me, they wanted to know whether I worked with unknown sources. But in journalism, there's a big difference between someone who's hiding their identity and someone who chooses to stay private for safety reasons. All of the people I've spoken with gave me their real names and identities. None were anonymous. They weren't part of Wayfair or anyone involved in this legal battle. Some of them wanted their names kept private out of fear of being blacklisted or punished by companies like WME or Sony. That's not illegal. It's a journalist's responsibility to protect those who come forward. Blake once claimed legal protections for herself when it suited her. Like when she allegedly spoke to the New York Times. She didn't want to admit that she or her publicist spoke to the media, even though they likely did. Yet she's now demanding transparency from others. That's the contradiction here. When creators speak out, she wants to punish them. But when she does the same, she expects protection. And even worse, she has made private information public, including addresses and phone numbers of people not directly involved in this lawsuit. That crosses a line. She was fully aware for months that a protective order had been in place to stop anyone from revealing people's personal addresses. Yet she insisted that everything be sealed because she feared her own address might become public. While she was focused on protecting her own privacy, she didn't care at all about the safety of innocent people who had no part in the case. These individuals were not involved in any way, yet she believed without reason that they were connected and out to harm her. Because of that belief, she shared their personal addresses, making them visible in public court documents. That thousands, if not millions, of people might view this legal docket has gained a lot of public attention. And by including those addresses, she potentially put people at risk. Meanwhile, companies like Wayfair have not done anything like this. Wayfair hasn't revealed anyone's private information, shared medical records, or exposed third-party details. Blake Lively, however, has done all of that. For example, she revealed that Mr. Jed Wallace was suffering from a serious health issue due to the stress of this lawsuit, without caring how it might affect him personally. At the same time, Blake refuses to share her own medical or financial records, even though she demands the private financial details of others she claims are part of a smear campaign. She wants access to their credit card numbers, IP addresses, and bank account details while keeping her own life private. It feels hypocritical and manipulative. This legal battle seems more like an attempt to bully and control than a genuine lawsuit. Instead of withdrawing all the subpoenas at once, Blake and her legal team are quietly removing them one by one. But this still leaves other content creators exposed, especially those who don't have lawyers, can't afford legal help, or don't know their rights. These creators could still have their private data, like bank info and home addresses, turned over to her. If that happens, there's a real risk she could harass or threaten them, or even start new lawsuits against them. She's mainly targeting people who embarrassed her in court. It's a strategy to avoid further humiliation or legal punishment from the judge. By removing subpoenas individually, they hope to avoid being formally told by the judge that what they're doing is wrong. But several people have already asked the court for sanctions, legal protection, and to have their lawyer fees paid because of her actions. Now they're backtracking. They're saying sorry and quietly pulling the subpoenas, pretending like nothing happened. When people started saying they would report her lawyer, Ezra Hudson, to the Bar Association, they dropped the subpoena against Cassidy. But that doesn't undo the damage. It's just a panic move. They're trying to fix their public image. Because things are falling apart. If they truly believed these subpoenas were valid, they would have stood by them. If the lawyers had done proper research and spoken to the people involved before going to court, they could have avoided this mess. A subpoena is serious. Ignoring one can lead to fines or even jail. But instead of following the right process, Blake tried to bypass it by going directly to Google for information. Blake Lively's legal team sent out subpoenas to several content creators, likely thinking most of us wouldn't be directly contacted. But now, even though some of those subpoenas are being pulled back, it's still unclear what their next move will be. They haven't given any promises that they won't come after us again as third-party witnesses or try to get private information directly from us. It's unsettling, especially since they continue asking about my confidential sources, even though I'm a journalist. They're ignoring the protections I have under the law, the New York Shield Law and the U.S. Constitution. Protect journalists and their sources. People who share important information are supposed to be safe from exposure or punishment. But Blake's legal team seems to ignore that completely. They're still trying to figure out who gave me information, even though I've made it clear I don't have any anonymous sources tied to this case. Blake believes people turned against her because of something Wayfair said or did, but that's simply not true. What's really damaging her public image is her own behavior. The lawsuits, the subpoenas, and the attempt to silence people are what's making things worse. She's trying to control the narrative, but she's doing more harm to her reputation than anyone else could. As for my case, my subpoena was dropped on Saturday. But even now, I haven't received any sort of confirmation that they won't try again. They haven't said they won't sue me either. The only thing I've heard is that it's been withdrawn. That's it. Yet they still have the nerve to ask, can you tell us who your anonymous sources are? Again, I don't have any secret sources who are connected to Wayfair. No one from their legal team, PR firm, or anyone directly involved in this case has spoken to me. And even if I ever did speak to someone like that, it wouldn't be illegal. Wayfair has the right to publicly defend itself, especially if they're being attacked with constant negative statements. That's how public relations works. Defending yourself isn't a crime. Blake Lively's image has taken a massive hit. Her public relations crisis isn't something she easily bounced back from. In fact, she's more likely to face serious consequences in court. The judge may criticize her harshly or even issue formal penalties. On top of that, her lawyer Ezra may face complaints to the Bar Association for their role in all this. Many of us have solid reasons to file those complaints. That's all I have for now, but I'm sure more updates will come soon. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you never miss future uploads. Thanks for being here. Bye, besties.